Kick us off, Dano. Nice. Nice.
I think it's clipping.
Yeah, we were, but it's just me because I can't get the... I was playing soft, but sometimes I can hear this. So what's happening, Dan?
Not a whole lot. Not much.
It's been a while since we did this.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah.
You got yourself a
I appreciate you doing this.
18. Oh, that's not an 18 string. It's a 36 string guitar. No, it's not a 36 string guitar.
18.
It's an 18 string guitar.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you can only count to 4.
Yeah, so we got a double neck guitar here. I've had this thing for a while, and I was never really able to, you know. I always wanted something cool to do on it, like, you know, do some more tap type stuff.
I feel like you need to play John Bon Jovi.
I went on to do stuff like... Let me turn my volume here. Hold on. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. Right now I have the 12-string tuned to an open tuning. So I have Dadgad. And then I just have standard over here. Technically D. I've tuned everything.
D? Oh,
everything.
D.
Everything is in standard D. Like the Dadgad is in D, and then the standard.
So
D
it's in standard
here.
tuning, drop down full step.
Yep.
Okay.
Just because I figure the tension is crazy on this thing.
I'm in just standard.
Yeah. The tension I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The tension on the strings here.
On
The
neck,
tensions
yeah.
of the strings and just everything. That's why I tune it to a whole step down, just so you know it doesn't just snap in half and kill somebody. So
Like me.
I mean,
Probably
you
me.
know, very considerate of me, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But I love it, dude. It check this out.
Okay.
Because you have the option of shutting one neck off or the other. So this is really sick. So I'm gonna turn the 12 neck on. The 6 is off.
Okay.
But when I play the 6 strings,
Is it because the body's picking it up and the
it's
sympathetic
just
resonance on the
because
strings?
it's just resonating through the whole thing.
So
It sounds so...
if I play over here, will it pick it up? Turns out no.
Nice. But it's because everything's like there, and it's still picking up the vibrations in the body. And when I play chords, dude, it's with a little bit of distortion. Hang on a minute. Let me turn this down a little bit because I want to do this. That's pretty dope. All right. Here we go. It's better with let me try this.
That got hot. It sounds like someone's playing guitar in the next room.
Right?
Sounds like you just put a ton of reverb on
it. It's a wild effect. Right?
Yeah.
And then if I just have the 6 on, I mean... These are like stock pickups in here, so that they're all right, you know. And then if I do the bridge on the 12, this is the bridge pickup. Going on, you know.
Yeah.
But I love it, dude. It's just the funny story behind this guitar. You ready for this?
Okay.
There's a music store back home where I'm from.
Should probably get closer.
Music store back home where I'm from. It was called Wilbraham Music. Shout out to Wilbraham Music. And the owner, I would come in, you know, that was like the place I would go. Owner, real nice guy, always gave me strings for like $5, whatever I needed, you know. And he had this sitting on the sales floor, and I was like, oh, look at that, the Jimmy Page double neck. And I pick it up, and I'm just kind of plucking it, and I'm playing it, and I'm like, you know, this actually, I was expecting for it to feel really cheap, you know, because it was the Epiphone, the kind of knockoff of the real thing. And I was impressed with it, man. I'm sitting there playing it like, wow, like this really feels good. Owner walks by and he says, name a price, and it's yours. And I said, are you serious? And he said, yeah, honestly, I know that you play and you play well and you're into guitars. I teach a bunch of like beginning students. That's like mainly what I get in the store is like beginners. None of them are going to buy that. Students, nobody.
I still have no use for it.
He's like, but for me, being the guitar nerd, I was like, well, I really think it's nice. He had it listed for $1,500. I said, how about 500? And he said, yep, sold.
Wow. And
I said, all right, I'll go to the bank and I'll be back. And I came back and I got this thing, and ever since, man. But it does have a cool effect, and like just watching Page play it when he was doing all that stuff. And,
well, just watching Jimmy Page play, period.
Oh. And the thing about this is, I have the neck, like I said, tuned to an open tuning, and then the 6 is just a regular standard tuning.
But drop down.
I think, drop down. I think Jimmy Page it was standard on both. But I just like being able to have that like drone.
You can accompany yourself.
Yeah, so it's just fun. It's a cool instrument to pull out. You're by yourself. Maybe if you're on stage and you got like the guitar solo moment, you pull this out, you just start messing around, doing some wild stuff, getting all that wild feedback like I was doing, Swig a few beers.
Yeah. Just stage dive and no one's ready for you.
Go through the floor. There's a lot of these venues, they don't really have the best flooring.
Or they just caught concrete flooring, which is...
Right. So that is the beauty that is a double neck, Have you ever played one of these?
No, but I have a 12-string.
You got a 12-string acoustic, right?
Yeah. I want to get rid of it just because... Not because I think it's a bad guitar. I don't ever use it.
Yeah.
And it just sits there and I feel bad about it. Because guitars are meant to be played.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is how I felt about this guitar, but I just think it's just so neat, being able to whip it out occasionally. That's why I like. And the reason why I pulled it out today is because I totally detailed it. New strings. Dude, it took me 4 hours
to put new strings on.
To put this. Well, what I did was, when I change strings, dude, I do a whole overhaul, cleaning, polishing. Dude, I'll polish the frets on all my guitars.
Yeah.
Like I got cream and a special cloth. I'll hydrate the fretboard.
You get some of that nut sauce in there.
The nut sauce, dude. I just found out about that stuff, and let me tell you, it keeps the strings from creaking when you're like tuning over the nut.
This guitar doesn't have that problem.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's my Telly that does.
Okay.
So this guitar...
I got nut sauce for you.
I try to keep it.
And the funniest thing is, like, all the companies, like, if you type in lubricant for guitar nuts, it's all going to be called nut sauce. Mm-hmm. What was it? There was another wild one. Nut cream, whatever. Just, everything. The only place that like decided to keep things G-rated, and they called it Tune It cream.
Tune-Nut.
Oh, well, it's too close. They tried.
Tune It, T-U-N-I-T.
Yeah, TUNEIT.
Okay.
Tune it
Oh, I
lubricant.
see. Okay, I see.
Tune it lubricant is what they called it.
Yeah. I mean, this guy does okay. I'm not too upset about it. Yeah, the only thing is this E string, I think it started pulling through. And so I think a while back it cut it if I tighten these tuners too much, it drills into it instead of having like a rubber stopper.
Yeah.
It kind of just clamps it with like a single screw.
Yeah.
Which isn't the greatest because if you screw it too much, it can start cutting into the string.
Yeah.
And then the string over time will start tearing away and won't stay in tune.
Yeah.
I think that happened. And then recently I strung this up and got the string stuck on the outside, but didn't realize it till I was done.
So why don't you just pop it in and then retighten the string?
Because then it'll have a crimp in it, and then it will never stay in tune.
The ball, you're saying?
No, the string itself will have a crimp in it, because it'll pull through, come through here, and it have a bump on it.
You sure?
Yeah, I've had it happen before.
Yeah. I don't know if I've had that.
Yeah, I had it happen, and it wouldn't stay in tune, and it had intonation issues. Like it was out half a step by the time it got up here. So, and there was a little crimp in it, and it was just a little tiny little bump. I thought, hey, that's not a problem. Turns out, yes, it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
When I do that, when I put strings on, I mean, I used to be pretty nutty about it. Now if I'm dealing with a floating tremolo with a locking nut, I don't even bother letting the thing wind. So when you're turning the tuning machine to like wind stuff on guitars like this, I'll leave some so that there's some stuff to wrap around, because I used to just pull it right through and start tightening to the point where it didn't really wrap around a lot. But ultimately what that did was kink it.
Yeah.
And over time it would just snap, which was 2 months, 3 months down the road. But now I kind of leave some wiggle room up there.
Yeah, all my guitars I put locking tuners in them.
And which is kind of like the way a Floyd would work with a locking nut. Yeah. It just locks it into place. Although the only thing that I didn't really like about the locking tuners is that you'll lock them, right? And then you'll turn it. You still have that joint where it's like kinked, and there's all that torque on that tiny little.
It's not torqued on the kink. It's torqued on the. There's a screw inside that holds it in place.
I know, but I'm talking outside your hole.
Yeah.
Outside your hole, Dan. Come on. Outside your hole, where your string's coming out.
Yeah,
going down.
That's just part of tuning it, though, is the problem.
That right, yeah, but that right there, if you're doing different tunings, or just over time you retune it and that sort of thing, it keeps digging into that one, as opposed to if you had it wrapped multiple times, it wouldn't dig into it as much. That's why, I mean, I like the idea of locking tuners. I was thinking of getting them for my Strat over here.
Yeah,
I was thinking of getting a whole new neck for that, but what I used to do was almost like what locking tuners did: pull the string all the way through, kink it, tie it down, and then tune it. But ultimately, I found out
it wears down on the tuning pegs.
It wears down, yeah, right where that corner is. Like I think I can see it right here. Yep, right there.
Okay.
That edge. Although yours, they look pretty round. Like I feel like if they kept things rounded and not like sharp, you're probably safe. But with it, if it's got like any sharp edge on that
got a little
divot,
bevel on it.
Yeah, that's good then. On stuff
which
like
is
I
great.
would
It
have.
won't cut into the string either. So
yeah. But so maybe the locking tuners will have that.
It could be that like here in 20 years, I just have to replace the tuning machinery in it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I like this guitar though.
It sounds good, man.
Yeah. PRS.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Dude, I met a guy. He came into the store, and this is crazy. Where's your guitar made? Does it say on it?
USA.
A USA made? Okay.
Yeah, it got wood from Brazil, reclaimed wood.
Okay.
But yeah, it was made in the USA.
I was talking to a guy. He comes in the music store, and he starts saying to me, he's like, hey, nice guitar. And I said, thank you. I had this Strat over here at the time. He's like, you did some custom work to that? I said, yeah, somebody sanded the front down, painted on it. I got new hardware, this, that, the other thing. I'm thinking about getting this and a new neck on it. And he goes, good, sweet. He's like, I'll tell you, I got to show you this, and I'm curious if you ever heard of it. Have you ever heard of AliExpress.com?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, I haven't heard of it. He's like, yeah, it's a website that you can go on that's in China, or the company's in China, however this works. It's in China. It's kind of like Amazon or eBay, where there's like individual, but it's it's more like Reverb.
Okay.
It's almost like Reverb, but for everything. So I guess you could call it Amazon, because you got private dealers. So you're dealing with private dealers, but they're all on this website, and you rate each other with your transactions. So he's saying most guitars, like most of these Gibsons, most of these Fenders, you get all this stuff where they'll put them together like in the U.S. or something, but mainly they're made over in Korea, China, Indonesia, whatever. So they got these Chinese knockoffs of some of these high-end guitars, like the Gibson Les Paul, say. So they have a Gibson Les Paul knockoff. You can go on there, you can find somebody that makes these things. And he says if you're like a guitar savvy Gibson diehard person, you'll notice some things here and there that's obviously not going to mean it's a actual standard Les Paul. But he's like, it feels like one. Like I'm a guitar player. When I'm not like a aficionado about Gibson Les Pauls, but I just love the feel of it. And he said he swapped it out, some new pickups out. Technically he's saying, like, if everything is what it is, and he says, I put two and two together and I really don't see a difference in the Gibson Les Paul and this guitar. He spent $350 to $500 on this guitar in comparison to a $5,000 Les Paul standard.
Wow.
And I guess there's something about with China, since the manufacturers are overseas, there's a certain grouping of them, and somehow there's these other people that will make knockoffs of the things, but they'll make it mad cheaper. But sometimes they don't make them exact, but they know all the stats, so they'll make this guitar. It's almost, I don't know if it's private. Since
stuff is manufactured in China, a lot of times they'll do a couple things. They'll just straight up steal the schematics,
right,
from the companies, or they manufacture it and just sell it direct from manufacturer.
Yeah, and then if there might be a guy in the shop that you hit up, you say, hey, can you make me one? He's like, sure, but I can't put the Gibson logo on it, which is incredible, like, when you think about it. And the guy, he said, yeah, you can't get the logo on it, but you got some options, like, and I guess he wanted,
you can get the Gibson.
Yeah. That's what he said, is he on the headstock, he got his last name as opposed to whatever else, and they just threw it on there. And I was like, that is something else, man.
Have you seen the memes with the Chinese names for U.S. products, where they didn't properly like translate or whatever, and they're just like, it was like Coca-Cola was Coca-Cola or Coco.
Did you say Chipson?
I said Glibson, or I said Gribson.
This guy called it a Chipson.
A Chipson
because it's Chinese. Chinese Gibson. But I was like, I said, if I have some money hanging around, maybe I'll try that someday. And he said, they build it, like, because he wanted an SG style body, which is actually the same.
It's a lot like that. Body. It's just half of it.
Same style body, yeah, half of it. And he wanted the flames to show, like the flame is on here, but he wanted it green, which was not a thing for Gibson.
Yeah.
So they were like, whoever this guy he was going back and forth with, they were like, oh, that sounds really cool. We could patent this and make your own guitar. And that's what they did. So they did the stats exactly like a Gibson SG. Made it a green flamed maple. Put his last name on the headstock. $300.
That's okay.
But he said it took like almost 4 months, which makes sense. But I'd be interested to try it. And he said it's safe. He's like, obviously you don't want to go for somebody that has like a 3-star rating, or a 5-star rating and only 2 reviews. Yeah. So he says you got to watch out for that. You got to make sure someone's got a good rating. They've sold a lot of things. You can see how many items they've sold.
And I guess you got to consider the ethics of it too, but I don't know. Always buying stuff made overseas. Eventually it's gotta come back to bite us.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I wonder what this is all about. I don't know how the inner workings of this is going on.
They make a lot of cheap stuff overseas, and they just do it to save on money.
Dude, they had everything. You could look up a stereo, everything from a stereo to, some type of fancy silverware, whatever. They had it all on this website. But I don't know. Like I said, I'd be interested to try it. Get a Gibson Flying V tobacco burst. That's what I tell them. I want a tobacco burst, Gibson Flying V, black pickguard, black hardware.
Sounds nice.
And then they'd be like, okay. Year later, nothing. Lose all my money.
I mean, that is true. That's why you got to pick a reputable.
So, but I thought that was kind of neat, though.
Yeah.
I'd try it. And then while he was talking to me, the guy I was working next to me, said he had a friend that also used the same website and got 2 guitars off of this website.
Okay.
For dumb cheap, and loves them. And says that they're great. And he wanted to get some big hollow body thing, one of those jazz hard stops. So that was what he was into. So somebody made him that. I thought that was pretty. I was like, nice.
Those feedback like crazy. Full hollow body electric guitars.
Yeah.
They feedback.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Sound nice, though.
Yeah, well, when you're playing that sort of a thing, I mean, I guess
if you're playing jazz.
Yeah. You're just playing through an amp and you mic the amp.
Except they don't use effects in jazz. No jazz guitarists use effects.
They're just like me here. Wait, let me turn my tone all the way down. You ready? Jazz. Of jazz players real pissed at us now.
Well, I mean, you just make up jazz. It's all made up. See, that's jazz right there. No transition because I forgot the chord sequence. It doesn't.
What was I doing? I was with a guy that plays a lot of jazz, and we were playing and. Oh, I was playing a classical piece, and I hit a bad note or something. He chimed in. He's like, "What was that?" I said, and he's a jazz player. And I said, "That was jazz." But yeah, Great stuff.
Remind me to send you. I have a meme. I need to send you after this. I'll just play some kids stuff. Nope, that's not Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Are you trying to jazz this up? Is that what you're doing?
No, I was just trying to play it straight, and I just messed up.
At least you're honest.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I was just trying to jazz up Mary Had a Little Lamb. I don't know how to jazz it up.
You just gotta kind of swing it a little bit. So like. Like this. Ready? Let me get some more. There you go. Oh, there you go. You almost can't tell. Good job, punk rock. Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Thank you.
But other than that, I just went through all my guitars this week.
That was the wrong thing to do.
Did you get it now?
So professional. I don't know if I did or not. Yeah, that's good.
Nice.
Sorry, I keep my overdrives at unity gain across the board.
Yeah.
So it adds distortion without adding volume. So my sound guy doesn't hate me.
My distortion channel is a little bit higher than my clean.
Yeah, so it's a little bit higher than clean.
Yeah.
The problem is I have two.
Yeah.
So like. That's supposed to be a clean boost. Doesn't boost the volume. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's supposed to just boost the volume.
It's supposed to boost the volume, but it boosts the overdrive.
Turn the overdrive off and do the boost. Yeah. It's boost. That's what a booster kind of does. A booster kind of.
Yeah, but that's like, I have it set to like 20 dB boost. And that's like 5 dB at most.
Oh, so you're saying it's way less than where it should be.
Unless I just don't have it set as high as I think I do. Let me see what happens.
Yeah. There you go.
Blow
there you go.
Earbuds out.
There you go. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just confused at what the boost does. And
Boost is just, it's supposed to just, it's not so much a volume, it's just opening up the tone. I always felt like, and it is making it louder, but it's opening up. Like I can.
But depending on,
that's how I treat my tube screamer. Honestly, I kind of have it set to where it boosts the volume a little bit and dirties it up. This is my dirty channel on my amp. And then this is with my tube screamer. I guess I kind of use it kind of use it as like, for me, a boost, but I guess that's a lot. It's a lot more than a boost. It does just give you more
punch overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess while we're on the subject, why don't we talk about signal flow? Like, what does it mean to overdrive?
See, I don't know the science behind it. Do you know? You're the scientist.
No, see, I don't. I just keep adjusting settings till it sounds like what I want it to.
Yeah.
I know you got your signal, and you got a certain amount of sonic space you can have.
On most guitars, though, on like let's say my Tube Screamer, it says gain, volume, tone.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm getting at. So you got your signal, and your signal can go from, I don't know, let's just say it goes from 0 to 1. And so when it breaks over 1, it has to flatten it out. And that flatten out, where it has that, it's no longer a nice smooth wave that you would expect, and it flats out. That's what causes that overdrive. Amps, or cabs, one of the two, I'm pretty sure it's amps, are designed such as when you hit that break point, it breaks up in a pleasing way. And each one breaks up differently. Now,
I think it has something to do with the preamps.
Yeah, but what if you don't have a preamp?
It's a digital phenomena.
Well, so
my Tube Screamer is meant to emulate.
But what I'm getting at is, distortion ends up with all that clipping that goes on. And it you keep a little bit of your signal, but it doesn't sound clean. Now, if I just pop that off, I still got a little bit.
Yep.
But if I play louder, if I overdrive it, if I overdrive the signal, it starts breaking. It starts to break up a little bit more.
Right.
And so it just, but then it just, because I got a compressor on here, and if I cut the compressor out, this won't sound overdriven at all. Okay, I'm wrong. Oh
well. So what's the problem you're trying to figure out? Signal flow, you're saying?
Well, yeah, I was just trying to figure out how to get my overdrives to work together well.
Oh. Well, I have it set up. No, I have it set up where, let's see here. My Tube Screamer is at the beginning of everything.
Mine are after compression, which that may be why the volume is so low.
So there's my Tube Screamer. And the reason why I have this set up like I do is because I saw a video of Paul Gilbert who had a distortion at the beginning and then a distortion at the end, or they were like next to each other or something. One was meant to give him the one that was closest to the guitar end, so being where the guitar plugs into, was just enough to make it sound like... And he gave a great example of like the pedal that is closest to my guitar is meant to sound like the tone from Stay With Me by the Faces.
Okay.
Which is
I haven't heard that
song.
So.
You haven't heard that song?
No.
The beginning, I can't really play it, but it's kind of similar to... Very rock and roll soft. The distortion in front of it is what made it go... you know, like really explode, which is what I'm using channel 2 for. So that's what I'm using my amp for. He was using a pedal, but I'm using my amp.
So wait. Yeah, so your overdrive is connected right to your guitar, though.
Tube Screamer is right at the beginning of my chain.
I mean, I use the compressor to get a nice flat signal from my guitar.
Honestly, dude, I don't know. I don't.
It just gives it a little bit more sustain, just a little bit.
Do it again. Okay.
Just a little bit more sustain, just something to, and I can go from versus. I mean, I've reached the point where I can pretty well balance my guitar playing, but like.
So now play with distortion. Play the distortion without your compressor.
Oh,
without it. Without your compressor.
Just play clean.
Play distortion. All out. Everything you got. Now do it with your compressor. I don't see much of a difference there. I don't know.
It's not much, but it makes a big difference.
Do it without again.
See how it's just more rounded? The full signal sounds a little bit more full. Compression's a difficult thing to get used to. Like, now that I've used it, I can't live without it.
Really?
Yeah. Like, and so the other thing is, like, both of these pedals add compression, even though it says it's a transparent overdrive. Both of them add compression. Hear how harsh that attack is? And I'm really trying really hard. It softens just a little bit, so that attack is not quite.
I guess I was good without it.
Yeah, I'm not.
Because I liked being able to figure it out with my hands. I guess I don't know. Like I'll catch myself doing that, playing too hard.
I mean,
immediately
it doesn't go from making you a bad player to a good player, but its big deal is during atmospheric effects. Really, it's for atmospheric effects.
And also, having your effects on wherever they're at in your chain is also affects a lot of stuff too. It affects your effects.
It affects my effects.
Like I have my micro vibe pedal here that makes it kind of sound like a vibe. Sounds way better with the tube screamer right before it, closest to my guitar. It just sounds better to have that overdriven sound go through that. And then I also got the phaser over here, which is the same kind of deal.
I should try running my volume.
I gotta
No, I know I don't.
mess with my wah pedal because it's acting a little weird.
Maybe I should give it a shot and try running my volume in effects loop after my amp.
Say what?
Maybe I should try running my volume through an effects loop after my amp and cab simulator. Because right now they're before, which is fine.
Oh, okay.
But right now volume's before. So what I was thinking is run my overdrive and compression right into the amp and cab, and then run cab through the volume, and then into delay and reverb. That might be something I try. Let's see what it does.
Yeah. Which one's your amp simulator? That one?
Black one, yeah, the HX Stomp.
How much was that?
So, $600.
Yeah?
Yeah. But it replaced an amp,
yeah,
a reverb, and a delay pedal. And it gives me 6 slots for basically any effect I can dream of.
Nice.
So, or maybe 8 slots. I can't remember.
Okay.
It's a lot. And I can individually control 2, technically 3. I use the third one for tap tempo.
Right.
So, like, I can...
That's baller.
Yeah, like, this is all... That's just cool to have tap tempo. I always program in the tempos when I play. But
I always say when you're setting up your effects pedals, think of it as what sound do I want passing through the next pedal?
Yeah.
When you're looking at your chain, so you got your guitar, you plug your guitar into a pedal. Do I want that pedal to go through that pedal? And that's how I think of it. Whereas, when you think of it that way, it kind of helps you set up a lot better.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a
it might with your
match.
If you were to put your volume pedal at the beginning of your chain going through your stomp box, it probably would sound like a really natural volume swell because it's your guitar coming through it and the amp is like now adjusting to the volume, so it'll sound.
That's what it does.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you had it before,
it is before.
So you have your volume pedal before your stomp box, closest to your guitar. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's it's before the stomp box.
You're gonna put it after.
After the I'm thinking about putting it between the reverb and the before the reverb, but after the output of the amp. And cab.
Okay.
I don't think I'll like it, but I want to give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah.
But right now, I mean, it's not bad. I used to have my overdrives before my compression. I put it after the compression, and I'm sometimes wonder if I guess what you're right. Because if I put overdrives before compression, then the overdrive signal gets compressed, and I don't like that. I want the compressed signal to get overdriven. That way, it doesn't add more noise.
Right.
That's why I did it compression first.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the best way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And it helped me figure that out a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't use a whole lot of effects. I got a delay, I got my tube screamer, and then the effects I have are the crazy stuff, like the vibe, the phase shifter, my wah, which is acting kind of funny all of a sudden. I don't know why it's being why it's acting so weak.
It's acting waffle.
Exactly.
See, I use a lot of effects though because I'm basically in a U2/Coldplay cover band called a worship team.
Yeah. I'm in a weird world of like where I love playing electric, but everywhere I play is acoustic. When I play live, I'm playing acoustic. The gigs I play at that restaurant, all acoustic.
We'll go to some gigs, and I'll just be up there, and you can play the electric in the background.
Sweet.
And I'll be like,
that's what's gonna happen.
Exactly like that.
Can we do it at your church?
I don't think they'll need it. Is the problem?
I'll bring my 7-string, dude. We have a special guest guitarist today.
So, I'm unofficially in the country band at my church.
In the what?
In the country worship team.
Country worship team.
Yeah. We're not country. It's just.
So you guys are organized by genre?
No.
You got the hip hop worship team?
No. No, but
classical worship team.
Our worship leader is a little bit of country.
New wave worship team.
No, it's like it goes from worship, country worship, and alt rock worship, alt rock indie worship.
Oh, okay.
So it's
alt rock indie.
So like folk stuff, like.
Right. Yeah, I mean, hey, you gotta please the crowd. You got a mixed crowd out there.
We do.
You gotta do something for all of them. But yeah, see, I'm not, like I said, dude, I'm playing a lot of acoustic stuff, and I'll play, like when I'm doing gigs, I'll bring my little looper pedal and I'll jam over myself, but I'm like, man, I just wish. And it's so funny. Last night I was playing, dude, and I'm not gonna complain. Best, it is I love doing the gig. It's the best band gig I've ever had. Just playing acoustic, classical tunes, little pop stuff here and there. This lady came up, and it was great. I mean, she's like, hands me like a $20 tip. I got $100 in tips last night.
Nice.
And $100 from the venue. I mean,
nice.
It was insane. Gives me the $20, says, this is just so nice. Like, it's just so calm. She's like, and you're not too loud, and it's just peaceful, and it's just nice to hear just acoustic guitar and everything.
Most of you kids these days, they're into that rock and roll music.
And yeah, and that's the hilarious thing is I'm standing there like, man, if only people knew that there was something else.
You didn't have any skulls on, did you?
No, I had a dress shirt and everything else was the same. Jeans, bandana.
Okay. All right.
I had a chain necklace on.
Okay. And you got your stud earrings. So.
Yep. I mean,
I guess how much more can you say, hey, I play heavy metal?
It is kind of nice. Because you always hear, and what was kind of funny was when I was in a band back home, and I'm not to say that I look threatening, but maybe, I don't know. But it did help because you get these owners, man. You do a gig, you go over and start talking about pay, and they would start switching the price on you. So I mean, I remember having an encounter with one guy, and he agreed before we showed up $350 for the whole band, and there was 5 of us. It was ridiculous, but pays us. I go over there. I said, "So you got a check?" He's like, "Yeah." What did I tell you guys? I said you agreed to $350. He goes, "Did I say $350?" I was like, "Yeah, you did say $350. Is there a problem with that? Like that's what we agreed upon." But I feel like a lot of musicians might get kind of pushed around, and I'm just not that kind of guy. I'm kind of tired of hearing the thing, and I'm going to say this since we're on our podcast here. I am tired of hearing musicians say, oh, no, I'm tired of them doing gigs for nothing. And in the name of publicity. It's like, no, you guys don't need to do that. Yeah. You guys can at least get $50 each. If you're in a 4-piece band,
$50 for a couple hours.
Yeah. And and these venues are always complaining about this stuff. I'm like, the venue can afford it, man.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. It's just like everybody wants the arts in general. Yeah. But no one wants to pay for them.
But the amount of people of fellow musicians that I said say like, oh, in the name of publicity, and there's some people you want to look at and be like, dude, you're almost 40. You've been saying that for 15 years. So at some point in the game, dude, you got to put your foot down and say, listen, I'm not paying. And I always think of my grandfather, because my grandfather he wasn't a musician. He worked construction, and he built houses. He owned his own business, and he would go up to people and say, well, if you're looking for this kind of job, this is what I charge. And he would calculate the stuff in his head. And, occasionally you get that person that looks at you funny, like, what? Like, what are you going to charge for that? He's like, well, that's what I'm charging for you. And then they say, well, no. And then you can just say sayonara, And if we had more musicians acting like that, like, if we had more musicians acting like real business people, it would be a different scene. We get more respect. And if you got to tell the guy, you tell the guy. Like, say, yeah, I'm driving 30 minutes to get here. 40 minutes, whatever it is.
At the very least, pay for gas.
Pay for gas.
And wear and tear on the car. You got to pay for my time.
Right.
And my years of skill development. Yeah.
And the other sad thing, too, is you got some people out there that are really well put together groups. They sound fine. Like the band I was in back home, we were solid, and they still are solid. They're still doing their thing, and they sound phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And compared to other local bands, I was like, come on. Yeah. Like, we deserve something here. Like, this is... I'm not trying to say that you're better, and everybody freaks out like, oh, you're saying you're better than the other guy. It's like, no, I'm not really saying that.
Yes.
I'm not really saying that. I'm just saying that we have a very well diverse group here. We're not all a bunch of guys in leather, which is what some of these groups would do. They'd all dress up in leather or denim.
Dave has skinny jeans on.
Yeah. we had a female singer who played keyboards. We had a saxophone player that would come out occasionally, and me and him would swap solos.
Charlie came here in a Prius.
Yeah. Yeah. But, it was just like, you want to see people. I really just think musicians need to put their foot down. I think that's ultimately what it is.
It's hard to do.
And it's not much. You're not asking a lot. Like if you got, let's say 3 people, you got a trio. $50 a person, $75 a person. The venue pays you $150. Yeah. Dude, they're charging some of these places $15 for a burger, $10 for a beer,
especially since prices went up.
$15 for a cocktail.
Yeah.
So, as long as you're getting something, because in this whole thing of in the name of publicity is baloney, and the fact that you would need to sell your own tickets is also baloney, and it is tough depending on what genre of music you're playing. If you're playing in a metal, rock and roll type deal, you're not going to get a whole lot of gigs.
Sure. Yeah, it's just not popular
I think
music.
It's not popular. It's my favorite stuff. It's where like rock and hard rock and stuff. I love playing it. I love messing around with a lot of that. A lot of my influencers are rock, but you're not, you're going to find a big crowd to play that with. So, and I knew that I had to be diverse. If I wanted to get anything as a player, I needed to be a diverse player.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, and it's tough. Keeping up on with all these different styles is like, I'll sit there like when I gotta play acoustic, I'm like, oh crap, I gotta start picking up my chops and my finger picking, that type of deal, because you're sitting there, I'm just picking and doing all this other alternate picking stuff and sweet picking, whatever, and so. But yeah, it's. We got to see musicians step up and do something eventually here.
Yeah.
Because just like you need a plumber, you need a musician.
You're paying for skilled labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my thing is, like, I'll show you my diploma if you want. I'll show you that's why I like having what we got here. Give somebody a link to go online here. Look at me online. That's, go ahead and check me out. You're not
yeah, don't pay attention to the other guy. Pay attention to me.
And that's the thing,
Yeah.
But it's important. I honestly, out here in Ohio, dude, I'm getting paid a lot better as a musician than I was back home.
Columbus and Dayton are
which is surprising because this is the East Coast I'm from. I'm from Massachusetts.
Yeah, but Columbus and Dayton are slowly becoming the Nashvilles of the North. You know, I guess I've heard a lot of people complain about the Dayton music scene not being what it used to be. But I know Columbus has a lot of stuff coming out of it.
Yeah.
So,
which to me, if the music scene isn't that great in Dayton, it's good. Dead. It's dead where I'm from because there was some good there was a lot of good groups, but nobody was getting freaking paid hardly. Yeah. You know? And also there wasn't a whole lot of out here where we're at. Music is a big deal in schools. Big bands, marching bands, symphony, orchestra. It's a big deal out here in the schools.
That's
back
because
where I'm
they have
from,
football games.
Yeah. Back where I'm from, though, dude, I can't tell you in the city I'm from that there was a whole lot of music stuff going on. I never heard about it. It was usually an after-school program that you would have to get into. And it's unfortunate. And the result of that, there was a lot of bands. Like, there was a lot of bands back where I'm from. Mm-hmm. But none of them were really racking in a whole lot of dough when they did gigs. None of us were.
Yeah.
So, it sucked. It still sucks, but out here, it is a lot different. You know, I don't know if it's because who I'm playing with or what, but you know, that might be a result of it.
Connections is some of it.
Connections, yeah.
Just having the right connections, having the right history.
Yeah.
Portfolio.
Right.
It all adds up. I'm talking like I know what I'm talking about, and I don't. I've literally never played. All my stuff is church stuff, so I always do it for free.
Yeah.
I know that runs counter to what you were just saying, but I feel like service to God.
You're doing a service. Yeah. And when you talk about churches in general, you automatically think there's a donation deal, there's a charity thing, something like that with it when it comes to it playing at church. So that makes sense. That's like a service you're doing.
Just to clarify in case anyone's listening, like you just said the complete opposite of what you said. No, I'm not saying.
But you shouldn't get paid. If you're a worship pastor, there are guys who get paid.
No, and that's the thing is like there's worship pastors. There's some churches that want their worship pastor to be a full-time job and not pay them. And it's just it's like you want that, and it's just like, no, you guys, you got to realize, I know you're conservative. And you don't believe in the arts. You believe they're a waste of time and money. But you got to pay these people.
Yeah.
You know, worship is a big deal in churches. And worship arts is a big deal. And just expression in general. I mean, so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. You deal with that a lot. I haven't really had to deal with it. I did when I was younger. I had to deal with some of that. Like when I was trying to play in the church band and everything, but when I get people talking to me about genres of music and telling me that this and this is demonic, I just kind of roll my eyes and I'm like, okay, really
the issue mostly with a lot of there some, you still hear some of that like this and this is demonic, and they'll fight you for it.
Yeah.
But the reality is, the big deal is, you know, with conservatives, it doesn't make money, or it's risky. And it is. It's risky. And it doesn't readily make money. And it's difficult to measure success. So.
And what's funny is a lot of the bands that I remember people calling demonic, when you look at the guys in the group and you look at where they're at now or whatever, it's just not. It just doesn't add up to me. To me,
Alice Cooper.
Yeah. Like to me, a lot of these guys got it figured out a lot better than some of these people in church.
Yeah.
Which is just weird, you know. Like they understand trials, issues, and you know. And I think one of the things about rock and metal is there can be a lot of pain that's expressed.
Yeah, you get the full range of human experience.
And that can be, pain is, to me, just a great motivator and a real character builder. So when you have people singing about that in whatever kind of way, some bands might approach it really violently, and their lyrics are just very crazy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I keep telling people, what do you got to worry about? Like, if you're right with God, why are you running up to somebody and waving your finger in their face?
There's all sorts of reasons why they do it.
Yeah.
All sorts of reasons.
It's just weird,
No, I get it. I love worship music, don't get me wrong. But
yeah.
I feel like your ability to express yourself is really watered down.
You're limited a little bit.
It used to be because I thought that people were limiting.
Yeah.
But it has to do with just the target audience does not understand the full range of expression.
Mm-hmm.
They want, okay, this makes me happy, and that's all they want, and they don't want complicated. They don't want to be challenged. They don't want to think through things.
Very repetitive type of lyric.
Yeah, not even that, but it just repetitive type of lyric, but just uncomplicated.
Right.
And so,
I mean, when you think about.
And I don't mean that to stay like write a worship song on stage that like, should we worship Satan? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just like the full range of human experience, just like what you see in the Psalms in the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. The stuff that's being said when in some of those Psalms are heavy, and they're not flowers and sunshine.
No, dude was in war.
And dude, you want a great example? Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Sunday Morning Coming Down, I think is the name of the song. Opening verse, he's singing about waking up hungover, puts on his cleanest dirty shirt and goes to church or something. And yeah, and I kind of laugh because some of the stuff Johnny Cash sang was like, oh man. But here's the deal: if you put it with a backing track of like a rock group, he'd probably be called demonic. That's what I think is kind of funny.
There's probably plenty of people that still think he is demonic.
There might be. I don't know. A lot of people. But
have you ever seen the movie? It's a spoof on the Walk the Line movie,
I
think it's called Walk Hard,
with John C. Reilly.
Yeah, John C. Reilly.
I wanted to see it.
So it's not terribly funny. It's got its moments. But there's this one scene there he starts singing. He's like, I want to hold your hand, or something like that, or I want to hold your hand. And everybody just like, it's just that simple. I'm pretty sure it's the Beatles song they're playing. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Oh yeah.
But everybody starts like, they go from this like prim and proper group to just like everybody's running around screaming, like the women are just losing their minds, and this guy's in the background with the Bible. He's like, You're just a vocal piece of Satan. You know who else wants to hold your hand? Satan. He'll drag you to hell with it.
And bro, when
it's probably the funniest scene in the whole movie.
When it comes down to stuff like that too, I always say, what do you got to worry about? I mean, if you're saved, come on. You should be able to approach this stuff without having a spaz attack.
Yeah. You do need to worry about, Christian integrity and the church integrity,
Yeah.
But
I mean,
there's better ways to go about it.
You should be able to go to a metal concert, evaluate, okay, this he's singing about a lot of messed up stuff. He's obviously not happy about something, and you start digging deep, and then you go and talk to him, and maybe he even opens up to you and he tells you about his life, and it could be screwed up, and you can be like, wow, well, As opposed to you sitting in the crowd and yelling at everybody, "This is demonic." Yeah. Or you can go and meet the guy and figure out where he's coming from, which is what you're called to do as a Christian anyway.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll laugh at you and shoot you off and whatever. That's the walk, dude.
Yeah. Brush the dust off your feet.
Which I'm all about. I'm all about meeting people and hearing where they're coming from. You know, I'm at the point now.
See, I'm introverted. I'm not.
I like to see where certain people are coming from. You know, and maybe it'll be totally bizarre. You know, I've met some people that I'm like, that's somewhere else.
You might literally actually be demonic.
Speaking of demonic.
Oh my gosh.
I know this is kind of off subject. You were telling me about the movie The Conjuring.
Oh, yeah.
Which I saw.
Yeah?
It was good.
Yeah.
I saw another movie that was recommended to me by another friend called The Rite.
The Rite. Okay.
R-I-T-E.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Anthony Hopkins. Dude.
You want to talk about demonic dude.
What?
Anthony Hopkins? He could play Satan in a movie, and I'd believe he was actually Satan.
Yeah, he's got skills. He's got the craft of acting down. Yeah. But you should check out, because remember we were talking about how The Conjuring gave you this feel of how there is like an evil in the world
Primal
that just
evil.
wants to kill you.
Yeah.
This movie does that. Oh, and the other awesome thing I liked about this in comparison to The Conjuring, they're waving the crucifixes and it's like the demon's freaking out. The demon in The Rite, the dude's holding the cross and he's mocking him until the preacher himself, who throughout the whole movie he's questioning his faith. Uh-huh. In the moment that the demon is like, kind of got him pinned at some point, and he possesses Anthony Hopkins and whatever. It's kind of complicated, but he's got the main character pinned. Anthony Hopkins, he's possessed. He's got the main character pinned, and he's saying stuff to him, and he's like, he says something, and he says, "That's it. I believe." Knowing that you are real, I believe that Jesus is real and what he did is for real. And that is what took him out. None of the symbolism, nothing to do with the crucifixes, the water. They were trying everything, and he's just laughing at him the whole time. Dude, it until the preacher confesses his sins and like accepts Christ, that is when the whole thing changes.
I mean, that's the whole kicker about the supernatural stuff for me.
Yeah.
Like, okay, clearly if this is real, everything about God is real too.
Yeah.
You know, if there is primal evil, there must be primal good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's the whole message of that movie. And what I loved about it was nothing worked. Yeah. The preacher is sitting there. He was questioning his faith the whole time, really wasn't living right. Anthony Hopkins is like trying to train him and trying to convince him that there's evil in the world. Well, then Anthony Hopkins actually gets possessed. Spoiler alert, sorry. But he gets possessed. And
we already know
and the other thing I liked about it was like a lot of these demon movies, it's very visual. There's like this, spinning head, puking up pea soup, the whole thing. Anthony Hopkins was just chilling in a chair, talking to you like a normal human being. But the voice that was talking was like, "Sorry, the priest isn't here right now.
Yeah,
I'm talking to you."
See,
and it was just very like, and it was almost like intimidating because he was just so firm on like, the priest isn't here.
C.S. Lewis wrote some good stuff about that. He wrote the Screw Tape Letters. I don't know if you read that.
Screw Tape Letters? I have it. I haven't read it, dude. I should.
Definitely worth it.
Okay.
100% recommend Screw Tape Letters and Mere Christianity. He also has a space trilogy, though. And in the space trilogy, I won't spoil all of it, but he runs across, basically he ends up in this alternate world, and he runs across Satan, basically.
Yeah.
And Satan is not like spewing up blood or had this weird look or anything like that. What he is he is basically, and C.S. Lewis does a fantastic job of explaining this. He is as you would think of normal, this guy was evil. Like, you look at it and it's like, something's off about this, and it is not good. And the way he would do things, it was almost childish in the way he was evil.
That's how this was, dude.
Yeah, it was it was like this innocent child evil. As if evil is just, it has no conscience whatsoever.
Just wants to see everything burn, really.
Not even, just doesn't even care.
And yeah. That's exactly what this was, dude. And what was the scene? The priest is trying to, the main character is sitting there, enters the room, because somehow he gets Anthony Hopkins tied down, and he's in the room, and he's walking around him, and he's got the crucifix, and he's reading the Latin and everything, and Anthony Hopkins is mocking him.
I mean,
like, just like, you don't believe in this, and he's like saying everything that is actually going on in the main character's head throughout the whole film. Is that he's been questioning a lot of this, and and he's also trying to distract him, like, because he has this chick with him, and you kind of get the hint that he's been sleeping, even though he's a priest and he kind of went to school and he just graduated. He was sleeping with some women here and there, and then he's like trying to tell him, he's like, oh, so you like what's her face, you think she's hot and this, that, or the other thing. He's like, has he done you yet? And he's yelling at her, and it's like this. It's just like, you're watching it and you're like, I could see this being a little bit more legitimate. I don't know, like the spinning head and the pea soup thing maybe sometimes, but this was wild, man.
It's not shocking.
Yeah.
It's more natural.
Yeah.
It's like, this is uncomfortably real.
Yeah. And there is a little bit of that madness of like the body twisting and tweaking around, but it's like only when
for shock value.
Yeah, I think it's only, but I don't doubt that either. I don't really doubt that may be a possibility.
Biblical
happens.
description of possessions. That's what it describes. So
what's that?
Just the body being all sorts of messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, like moving in bizarre ways and everything.
Well, really, it just, this guy cut himself, and was doing a lot of self-harm, and Jesus came to him. He's like, no, he's like, what? Who are you? And we are legion, for we are many. And
yeah.
There's so many thoughts I have about that, but we could spend an entire 6 hours. I actually really want to read and study history of demons and what they mean, where they came from, like the belief in them. And
well, this was the other cool thing, was because this guy's taking a exorcism class, the kid, the main character, and he's learning about all this stuff, and what was it? And they're showing all these like incidences that have happened. Apparently this was a true story. I don't know how much of it was real, but this was it. The other neat thing was, we sit around and we say, well, we think we need to do is say Jesus' name, and that's it. It wasn't working for the priest. Like saying things in Latin, saying Jesus' name, holding a crucifix, wasn't working for the priest in the beginning of him trying to do this, because he really technically wasn't saved yet, is kind of the vibe you get at the end. And it was very much so like in the scripture with the demon who looks at the guys that are trying to go cast demons out of this dude, and the demon turns around and looks at them. He's like, I know Paul and I know Jesus, but who are you? And beats a snot out of them, because they actually didn't really have the faith authority or faith.
Derivative authority, I should say.
Yeah, they were focused more on in the name of Paul or whatever, or something like that. Yeah. And it was like, that. No, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what was happening with the priests in the beginning. And one of the things that the preacher says is that if you can get the demon to say its name to you, that's when you got him.
Yeah. And that's based on really old superstition.
Oh, is that old?
Yeah, it's super old. Even around Paul's time, that's what they believed.
That's what they believed. Mm-hmm. There's a part of me, though, that I look at that and I go, see, that is very interesting, because if you're able to get the demon's name, tell me what you think of this. The demon's name, you're a believer. And in the name of Jesus under you being kind of like a mirror image of
sorry,
you being a mirror image of Christ. When you say to this, when you actually know the demon's name, that's kind of like Jesus working through you speaking the demon's name. That does kind of make sense to me, but
really it was not. It was not based on any Christian influence. It was just based on superstition. Superstitious witchcraft and shamanism, things like that.
Okay.
It was believed that, like, because you have the name of it, you have power over it, and really, I get what you're getting at, and it seems kind of cool. But the reality is, God knows all things. He doesn't need to know the name of something. Yeah. Like Jesus walks up, he's like, "Who are you?" You know, he's God. He knows everything already.
Yeah.
And the demon says, "We are legion," and so it just he doesn't need to know the name of anything. He does what he wants to, and when you had that derived authority, you can do what God wants to as well. And so it just
that makes sense. Then I see where you're coming from with that. But I just thought
we get into a whole issue with continuation of gifts and healings and speaking in tongues and things like that, which is a very complex and heated.
Maybe you have the gift of exorcism.
Me? No. I've never even run across a demon.
Yeah.
I've heard of stories where people probably ran across a demon. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I've also heard stories where people ran across what I would consider running across an angel.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've heard stories too.
And it's just,
I've had experience too. Like, I shouldn't say that I haven't been, that I haven't had any experience. I've had some wild stuff. So, but what's the matter?
I lost my guitar pick.
Oh no.
It's an open floor. How can it just be gone?
Is that it sticking out under the pedal board there? No? Okay.
No, it's how?
Dan's guitar pick is gone forever.
We're talking about demons. I think it just got upset and took my guitar pick.
Man.
Well, it looks like I'm finger picking the rest of the night.
Oh. But yeah, good movie, man. Check it out, because I liked it. I liked the message, and
there were similar events like that in some of the Conjuring line of movies.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh. Come on.
Are you trying to mic up your acoustic? You gotta play louder. Loses picks that easy.
Should we wrap this up though?
I think so.
Do you need a pick?
Yes, please.
There you go.
Do you have one?
I got one.
Because I know, like, I use it because, I'm not as well trained as you are.
There we go.
So, what are we doing for this outro?
Here, I'll play stuff and you do leads. Here's If we're doing D mix. Play a G major scale the whole time. G major.
This was G major.
Sorry. A G major scale?
Yeah, I mean, up here it's going to be the same. I'll let you get started and then I'll figure something out.
Everything's natural except F sharp.
I realize I have no idea what notes I'm playing. I know where the root is and that's it.
I was trying to get you to play a Mixolydian scale.
I was playing in G.
Yeah, it sounded good.
It sounded a little suspended.
Yeah, it's dope.
Okay. Awesome.
All right. Thank you for joining us, people. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Please join us next time, which will be after Thanksgiving sometime.
I mean, my schedule clears up after Thanksgiving quite a bit. At least for like a week.
Sweet. Perfect. All right. Wave.